Howdy folks, T Mango here. I'm going to run you through my tune, Come a Little Closer. I'm going through Come a Little Closer because I put this out on Instagram to my Instagram followers, and the resounding answer in terms of which track you guys wanted me to run through was this little puppy. So I guess the format I was going to take here was really quite simple. Okay, to start with, I'm going to run you through the ingredients. Which parts make up the track? Parts? No. Which ingredients? I think ingredients is a good term. So what the track's made up of, and then I was going to run you through, I guess, the recipe, so how I've combined those ingredients together to make the track itself. So it's based around a sample. I'm sure a lot of you know this already. It's based around a sample from an Inner Life record. That record, I keep wanting to call the record Come a Little Closer, which is definitely not called. It's called Make It Last Forever. Thank you, Thomas. Thomas's brain just switching on there. So it's from the Inner Life record, Make It Last Forever, from the John Morales mix. It's a licensed sample, so the guys at House K7 licensed that. I believe it's from Salsoul, or whoever owns the Salsoul catalogue, but I could be wrong. But it's a fully licensed sample in there. And really what I've done is I've kind of looked to, I guess, as much as possible, augment that sample, or kind of, hold that sample up, make sure that it works in the context that I've set out for it. So it's kind of, I've turned it from, I think it was around 100 beats per minute, the original sample, around that kind of speed. I've sped it up and sort of brought it into that sort of housey, sample housey kind of context. So yeah, that's the basics really. So the ingredients, as I said, I was going to run through. You can see here on the screen. So I've got the sample set here right at the top. Then I've got some drums, obviously. I've got a bass, which I played on the trusty 101, which is here to my left. I can't pick, the laptop's kind of mounted in front of me, or else I'd pick it up and sort of twist it around, but all the leads would come out. But there's a Roland SH101 to my left, which I played that bass on. Then Korg bits, these are all things that I played on the Minilog. I got a Minilog, a couple of years ago. I've sold it now actually, because I probably didn't really use it that much, but I definitely used it on this record. These are all the kind of new synth bits. Then I've got the Rod Ull, which is the Rode 73. There's no real reason it's called Rod Ull other than a really old Ali G gag from the 11 o'clock show from about, I don't know, 15 years ago. And for some reason, whenever I go into the studio with mates who I lived with around that time, the Rhodes became known as the Rod Ull. So there you go, that's stuck. And then there's this, the Vibes solo. So the vibraphone, it's like an FM vibraphone. If you've heard the record, you'll know that kind of drop when that comes in. That's the Vibes are from a DX100 pack that was put together by the wonderful Samples from Mars. So I use that pack really quite a lot. The jazzy organ on there is also awesome. I've used that on this new record I've put together for Permanent Vacation, and I'm using it, I think, on the. I'm just doing a mix for Girls of the Internet. It's going on there as well. So awesome pack, fully endorsed, and I would definitely, just have a look at that if you get a chance. So those are the ingredients. Okay, so to run them through again, it's waffle aside, we've got the sample from the Inner Life record, which is a 4-bar loop. I've got the drums, which I can dig into when we kind of run through the arrangement. I'll dig into the component parts of the drums. I've got the bass from the 101. I've got some melodic elements, so that's disco chords, some twinkle chords, and the held string. And then there's some effects in the form of what's lovingly referred to as disco wind. I've got the some sort of rhythmic melodic parts from the Rode 73, and then like I guess a solo sound, which is the FM Vibes from the Samples from Mars DX100. I'll try and list all of these things below the below this video as well, so you can see with kind of links to go and have a look at them and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so let's dig into it. First and foremost, I want to play you the sample because that is the most important part of this tune. And let's just set these locators up. So if I zip across here, and go over here. Okay, so the sample I think comes in about 125. So this is the track you can see here. It's the, oh actually it doesn't actually say the name of the track here, but it's Inner Life, Make It Last Forever, and it's the John Morales mix. Okay, let's blast this out.
Come a little closer. I don't want to miss a thing. Not a single minute of pleasure that you bring. I can feel you warm inside.
Okay, so it's just that first little "come a little closer" line. I was actually just tapping away on the RD8 there to see what tempo it is. It is like 99 beats per minute. So I've sped it up there up to 118. Or come off that window. Okay, so I'll play you the sample as I have it now on solo. It's this little 4-bar section here.
Come a little closer. I don't want to miss a thing.
Okay, so just played with the that's the 4-bar section. Excuse that little sort of scrungy like stutter that happens. That happens when recording through this screen capture software. It's a bit of a strange thing. Okay, so I'll just play that for you one more time.
Come a little closer. I don't want to miss a thing. Come a little closer. I don't want to miss a thing.
So I'm sure you'll agree, awesome sample. You know, proper musicians. Inner Life were I think like a group of like pure session musicians, and then it was Loletta Holloway on vocals. So like real dream team, real disco dream team there. So really, that's the key of the track. This sample, and it runs pretty much flat. That 4-bar loop runs unchanged in terms of the length or the structure from. Let me close this down so we can get a bit of a bigger screen vibe going on. From about minute 1 to about 4:20, so you've got about 3.5 minutes. You know, roughly three and a bit minutes of that sample. And retrospectively, kind of looking at this, and I'm not sure if you saw my other stories, but this is my fourth go at trying to do this walkthrough because of some sort of technical issues. So it kind of allowed me, I guess, some perspective on the tune. And what's happening really is you've got the sample which is running, apart from in this little area from 65 to 81 where there's a little bit of a slope on the, a little bit of a low pass filter going on. You can see that here on this auto filter that's on the channel. Other than that, it's pretty flat the entire way through. Okay, so what I've got is these kind of melodic elements which are coming in and out, and then I've got some percussive elements coming in and out. All of those things are really just allowing the interest, you not to get too bored of the sample, I guess. And I'm not sure I did that. It's not like I must keep it interesting. It was, it was on a sort of a feeling-based vibe. But just listening back to it, I can really hear how these things work together. Obviously, the sample is the key to the tune. So what I've put on it is really, I've sped it up, so made it fit in a different context, and then kind of tried to make it a bit chunkier for club play. But I mean, it's not like a club banger, is it? Let's be honest. It's a kind of, it's like house at home or barbecue house, a little bit of barbecue house going on. But I'm proud of it and I like it, so I hope you like it too. Anyway, I'm going to walk through it now and stop being so English about this entire sort of talking through the tune. Is it raining? I hardly even noticed. That's straight from the Hugh Grant of House there. Okay, so we've got the sample. I've popped some drums on here, really straightforward drum patterns, just flat, kicks, flat 4 kicks, and then a snare on the 2 and the 4. You can see if I go into the snare programming here, at some point, I tried a few ghost notes to sort of like get a bit more skip into it, and it just kind of cluttered it. So it's just kept really straightforward with snares on the 2 and the 4. But I did play those in to try and just kind of left them. You can see here, kind of left unquantized. Okay, so if we listen to the sample and the drums and the bass here, let's take that, yeah, that's it. So that, and that, here we go.
Come a little closer. I don't want to miss a thing. Come a little closer.
So pretty simple, pretty lightweight on the drums, pretty simple on the bass, nothing particularly complicated happening there. Okay, so this section, this first 33, is really like the introduction to the tune. This is where the sample first opens into 4 bars. So if we just look back here at the intro, not particularly exciting bit of any track, but really a kind of functional bit. So there's a bit of mixing. The sample is changed to 1 bar. So you can see that 1 bar length here, and it's really just kind of coming up through a low pass, which you can see here. So I'll just play a little bit of this, so you can see how it flows into bar, into the change at 33. Is okay. This is the tune. And what we've got is this held string, which I mentioned earlier, which is kind of building a little tension in the intro, and then we've got some reverse space echo, which was put together on the tape echo feature on the Minilog. I just kind of freeform loads of like kind of echo noises, and then particularly you can see this little fella is reversed. So if you look here at the end, 145, this is what the sort of regular forwards, I don't know why I struggle with that word, forwards waveform looks like, and then I just kind of reversed it here to get a sort of I guess like something different to a reverse symbol, or some kind of, I think the kids call them risers, but I'm loath to say that. So it's just a kind of transition effect. Okay, so I'll just play here. From here you got the high string, and then you hear it dropping into the tune. I'll take it out of solo. Here we go. Okay, so you can hear that drop in there, and all I've done really, if you just look up close here, is I've just cut everything out on the snare beat. There's a little one of those in there. I'm not quite sure why that's in there, but everything apart from that noise, probably because it sounded weird. But I'll often do that in a when sort of moving from one section to another, just to have a little tiny little bit of space in there before dropping in. Okay, so we've heard how it drops in at bar 33. You can see this first 16 bars here is pretty straightforward. There's nothing coming in. Then for the second 16 bars, we've got this held string coming in, which stays in for 32, and then we've got the introduction of the rod ul. So let's have a listen to that. Come a little closer. I don't want to come a little closer. I don't want to miss a thing. Come a little closer. I don't want to miss a thing. Come a little closer. I don't want. So you can hear that disco string coming up. Come a little closer. I don't want to miss a thing. Come a little closer. I don't want. Okay, and what happens at this little change is some of the top end percussion drops out, so the hats drop out, the snare clap drops out, but some tambourines come in to sort of like just change the feel of the rhythm a little bit, and then you get these disco chords, which for some reason are muted. Or maybe they weren't in here. Were they in? Not sure if they were in the record or not, although they're coming through muted here. Let's keep them in. I think they were maybe in there. well organised as ever. But what you've got going on here is there's a kind of drop away of the of some of the chunk of the drums, but you've got some high-end percussion coming in, and then some kind of twinkle. So you can hear this sample stays pretty much the same. And then it's starting to fade down. You can see there, I'm pointing to the screen, obviously you can't see that, but fade down through the low pass. Also the introduction here of that DX100 vibes, the fat-fingered vibes solo. I think these disco chords weren't in actually, because I don't recognise them from the tune. So let's just have let me just explain what's going on in this section again, and get some perspective, kind of looking at the whole tune, because that's important as opposed to just like section by section. So what we've run through is this is where you know 33 bars is where the tune kicks in. Okay, so you see, okay, this is the start of what you recognise as the tune, the full sample. Then it's a question of kind of running that for 32 bars, so about approximately a minute, before there's a little change, which is this main sample having some of the top rolled off. So essentially, you know, by that I mean running through the auto filter, which I'm going to be honest, I never use on anything, so it's a real rarity I've got it on here, but you know, it's on here and it sounds alright. So so the samples being, you know, essentially having the top rolled off, as you can see here, this visual version of that. And some of the drums, the weight of the drums, so the snare and some of the movement, the energy of the drums through the hats are coming away. But you've got a different kind of top end coming in with some of the percussion, so the tambourine. You can see there's actually 3 tambourines in this track. Who knows why I need 3 tambourines? Probably just got a bit carried away. And also the basses come out, so you're missing some, you know, some of that low ends come away. And the idea, obviously, is that, you know, when it kicks back in, you're going to get that feeling of warmth and that sort of, you know, that tension release, that kind of little bit of a payoff. The other thing that's happening is the introduction of the DX100, so the sample from Mars DX100 coming through here. So simply playing, you know, kind of rhythmically to start with. So it's just you're being introduced to the sound via a kind of rhythmical part, which you can hear here. Okay, right up until this drop, where you can see, if you look at the actual MIDI notes here, let's just make this a bit bigger, that it goes up, you know, right up the register. So it's probably going up what looks like about 2 octaves, and then coming down the register, in, you know, through like I guess the equivalent of a solo. Well, it's not the equivalent of a solo; it is a solo. So that's what's going on, and the payoff, that, you know, that feeling of like, ooh, is coming from all, these rhythmical parts turning into melodic parts, and also the bass coming back in, the drums coming back in, and the sample being opened out. That's the combo. Okay, so I'll just play it for you again, and you've got the lead in with the reverse. Disco Wind. Here it is. Okay, here we go. Okay, and I'll just walk through what's happening, the transition, that's not a word, the transition from this solo into this next section. Really what's happening here is you can see the FM vibe solo is kind of coming back up the register, and as it hits the top point of the register, it's just being fed to like a delay throw going off into the distance, and then its place in the frequency spectrum is being replaced by these Korg twinkle chords. As I said, I'm experiencing this with perspective later, as opposed to having consciously thought this out, if that makes sense. So I'm just kind of, coming back and sort of picking this apart and trying to work out how it works. So it's not like I approached it like, what will replace this in the frequency spectrum, because that's not, that I don't think was a thing. It's probably more of a feeling. Okay, so that's the first part, and then we've got, as it transitions from this section, there's a change in the, what is there a change in? There's a change in the top end. So in the percussive top end, there's a kind of more sound which comes in, just a sort of looser open hat, which I think is just playing on the beat. Let's just have a look. Where is it? Yeah, so it's just playing on the, I think that's called the downbeat, on the 1, 2, 3, and the 4. So as opposed to like a offbeat kind of, it's like on the beat. That would seem to be the right term. So that combined with the new hat are giving you some sort of fizz and sparkle up the top. And as I said, the top end melody is being swapped from the kind of solo through to these twinkle chords. So let's just have a little listen to that transition again, and then we'll zip through the rest of the tune. Come a little closer. I don't want to stay. Come a little closer. Got this string kind of rising again up through the filter, with an octave being added. A bit more tension and release. Okay, so the sample you can see up here is all pretty flat, running the flat 4-bar loop. I say flat is the wrong word. Straight 4-bar loop, and then there's another transition here before there's a kind of change, and then the mix out. There we go. It's the equivalent of like a little sort of rhythm guitar part, or a, I don't know, like a plucked bass part. I don't want to miss a thing. Come a little closer. I don't want to miss a thing. Come. Okay, the next part we move into is this kind of like trigger that the mix out's coming. And this change up in the sample reminds me a little bit of like Roy Ayers' Chicago, with those kind of eerie high strings. So you go. Obviously, I've now flipped it down, so you can't hear them, but I'll play it back to you in a second. Then we're moving now into the mix out. Okay, so you can hear there's plenty of space echo there. There's loads more of it here, like forwards, and loads of freestyle space echo. Probably a hangover from producing like bigger room records in the early days with some of the kind of prog and sort of more housey dudes. There was a lot of whooshes and wishes, and yeah, I think I probably got a bit carried away at the end. But I think it sounds cool, and it's really easy to mix out of. So yeah, that's the tune essentially. In terms of, I don't think there's much to dig into with the drums. I think they're pretty straightforward. They're not, but by far and away not my most exciting or interesting drums. But the drums and bass really were just all about trying to work with the sample, because the sample's just so good. I didn't want anything to detract from the sample. So yeah, that's kind of why they're so simple, I guess. What else is there to talk about? So in terms of the vibe solo, I think I just jammed that out. I just played that in one take. Well, I played probably in 2 takes by the looks of the way this is glued together. I think I definitely played this whole sort of solo part in a take. and then just went in and gave it a little nudge towards the grid, but it's not like bang on the grid, especially these kind of like little trills, because that would just take all the feel out of it. And generally, if I can, if it sounds good, I won't quantize it. That's how I go with most of the music I make. So that, I think, is it for now on this walkthrough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these ingredients, a list of these ingredients into the description of this kind of walkthrough. If there's any other questions you've got, hit me with a comment, or if you've enjoyed it, hit me with a comment, or if you think it's terrible and I should never do this again, hit me with a comment. I mean, don't be mean. No one likes a troll, but share some. A like is nice, but a comment, a comment is really much nicer. So just do let me know what you think of this, and if there's anything else, any other tunes of mine that you would like to see a walkthrough of, I'm happy to do those. Lovely. That's it, really. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, do come and follow me on Instagram if you don't already follow me, and that's my handle is tmango with a little underscore at the end. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed it. Nice one. Speak to you soon. Have a great day. Yes. Hello. It's your man T Mango here. That's a terrible start. Let's try that again.